All right, let's take a look at our next lesson on multiplication of fractions. This is on page 28 in your packet, so open up to page 28. If we take a look here, it says to multiply two fractions, multiply their numerators and denominators. So we have 3/4 times 2/3, and it says we're going to multiply our numerators 3 times 2, and then multiply our denominators 4 times 3. Multiplying fractions, we multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. So 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 3 is 12, and that equals 1/2. If we simplify, right? So we have 6/12, and we're going to take that and we're going to divide both numerator and denominator by 6. And 6 divided by 6 is 1, 12 divided by 6 is 2. So if we take a look at this in like real life, this would be having a story problem like this. Mark has 3/4 of a candy bar. Okay, so picture 3 parts out of the 4 that the candy bar is split into. That's what we're starting with. He gives away a third of it. He gives a third of it away. Okay, so he gives one of those sections out of the 3 away. He has then 2/3 left of the 3/4. So what part of the whole candy bar does Mark have left? What is 2/3 of 3/4? So we would get that by multiplying 3/4 times 2/3. Okay, and we get the half that we just found. So let's try this. To multiply fractions, we just multiply numerators, multiply denominators, and then simplify if needed. Okay, so here we have 1/2 times 3/4. So I'm going to say 1 times 3 is 3. That's my numerator. 2 times 4 is my denominator. 2 times 4 is 8. So I have 3/8. Let me just zoom in here a little bit. Okay, so 1 times 3 was 3, 2 times 4 was 8. Let's try the next one. This is already simplified because I can't divide the 8 by a 3. I could only do a 1 or a 3 for my factors of 3, and that's already simplified. Number 2, 1/3 times 1/2. Well, we take our numerators. 1 times 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is my denominator. 3 times 2 is 6. 1/6 is my answer. Okay. Let's do the next one. Next one, 3/4 times 5/7. So multiply our numerators. 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. And then 4 times 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Now, simplified. Well, let's see here. My factors of 15 are 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. So a 1 would work with a 28, but not a 15. And I can't ever use a 3 times anything to get to a 28. I can't do a 5 to a 28, so this would be simplified. Okay, let's try number 4. 1/3 times 5/8. Multiply my numerators. 1 times 5, that's 5. Then we do our denominators. 3 times 8. For my denominators, 3 times 8 is 24. 5/24. Is that simplified? Yes, because I can't divide numerator and denominator by both a 5, right? That would be the only other factor other than 1, so that's already simplified. Let's try another one. 7/8 times 3/5. So we take 7 times 3 and 8 times 5. 7 times 3 is 21. 8 times 5 is 40. Do they have anything in common? Well, my factors of 21, remember how we did this. 1 times 21, 3 times 7. Those are my only factors. My factors of 40 are 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, and 5, and times 8. The only factor that they have in common is a 1, so this is already simplified. Okay, let's check out the next one. 2/5 times 1/7. Well, we'd say 2 times 1, that's my numerator. That's 2. 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 35. Can I divide the bottom, the 35, by a 2? No. So 2 35ths is my simplest form. Okay. How about my next one? 2/3 times 2/5. Numerator, 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Denominator, 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. Do they have anything in common other than 1 to divide by? Nope, because I can't divide by a 2 or a 4 for a 15, and those are my factors of 4. Last one. 2/3 times 5/8. So we see. Let's see here. 2 times 5 is my numerator. That's 10. Denominator, 3 times 8. That's 24. Do they have something in common to divide by? Well, here, can I divide them both by a 2? Sure, because they're both even. So if I do that, 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. So I have 5/12 is my simplest form of 10/24. Can we flip a page and go to page 30? Flip one full page, go to page 30. I want us to look at one more strategy for multiplying fractions. Okay. There's a shortcut we can take to multiply fractions. And you don't have to use the shortcut, but it might save you some time simplifying a number. And it says if you have something like 6/10 times 5/8, well, I can multiply across. I could do 6 times 5 is 30, and 10 times 8 is 80, right? That's what we just worked on. If I'm going to just do what we just did. 6 times 5 is 30. 10 times 8 is 80. Now, I could divide them both by a 10, right? To simplify. And I get 3/8. No problem. That's easy enough. But there's a way that I could do this differently. And I can look at and simplify first before I multiply. So I could look at 6/10 times 5/8, and I see I could simplify. I could put a 2 into a 6 and a 2 into the 8. And I could change my 6, divide that into a 3, and my 8 into a 4 before I multiply. If I divide my numerator by something, I have to divide my denominator by something. In this case, they said 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then they're going to multiply 3/10 times 5/4. And if we have that, 3/10 times 5/4, I could simplify it again. And I could say, oh, well, 5/10 I can divide a 5 by a 5 and get a 1, and a 10 divided by 5 and get a 2. So then they simplified it, and they said 3/2 times 1/4 is simplified, and 3 times 1 gets me the 3, 2 times 4 gets me the 8. Okay? Again, they got the 3/8 that we got, but they tried to simplify first. Okay, and that works too. It might make your numbers a little smaller before you multiply, but we know how to simplify. We can do it either way. So here, if I'm looking at 3/4 times 4/7, I see a 4 and a 4 are in common. Well, those, I could divide them both by 4 and really make them into a 1. right? So if I turn them both into a 1, then I say 3 times 1 is 3 and 1 times 7 is 7, right? If I would have left them and just done 3/4 times 4/7, 3 times 4 is 12, 4 times 7 is 28. And I could then divide them both by 4, and I still get 3/7. So either way I get 3/7. But if you can simplify first, it might make your multiplication simpler, okay? So 2/3 times 3/5, well, I see a 3 in my numerator and denominator, so those I can divide them both by 3. Those I can divide both by 3, and I get 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and now I say 2 times 1 over 1 times 5. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 5 is 5, and I get 2/5. Okay? I would get the same thing if I would have just said 2 times 3 over 3 times 5. I would have just simplified after. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. Then I can divide them both by a 3. And I still get 2/5. I get the same answer either way. Okay? Let's try another one. 2/4 times 4/9. I can do it either way. I can cancel them both of the 4s, and make them both into 1s, right? 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Now I have 2 times 1 on my numerator and 1 times 9 on my denominator. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 9 is 9. And I get 2/9. Okay. Remember, if you multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators, you simplify after. Okay. The shortcut is to simplify first. Let's look at number 4. If I don't simplify first, I just multiply my numerators. 3 times 4, which is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. And then 4 times 9. 4 times 9 is 36. What can I divide them both by? They both have a 12 in common. If I divide them both by a 12, I get 12 divided by 12 is 1. 36 divided by 12 is 3, and I get 1/3. Okay? What I'd like you to do is I would like you to try for me 2 problems. I want you to try number 11 and number 12. So do number 11 and number 12 on page 30. Can you do those on lined paper? Okay? Do those on lined paper, and then turn them in when you're done. So on lined paper, let me just rewrite them. 2/4 times 3/4, and do 2/5 times 3/4. Simplify your answers.